Hi and welcome to Sewing Street Tutorial YouTube. I'm Steffi from The Makers. I've needle felted for 20 years plus, and I'm about to show you some needle felting that is a little bit off the beaten track, but you can make some yummy picnic food. Sandwich, Swiss roll, and even a healthy strawberry. Knock yourself out or eat lots of it, and I will hopefully see all your lovely makes at the end of it. For this, I have actually had to pre-work a little bit to make a bread of loaf. Yes, you heard right. The loaf comes before the sandwich. I can't just needle felt a slice of bread. It just doesn't look exactly the right way it should do. So I've made a really solid little square white loaf of bread. But of course, we all know that eating brown is much healthier for you. But these, of course, you don't eat. And I thought I'd show you how to put a crust on it now. So I'm taking a little bit of this nice caramel color brown and I mix it with a little bit of white because obviously I don't want it to look too brown. And I'm going to do this quite thoroughly so that I get a nice even color. And I probably even have to add a little bit more brown into it. So just get the exact right tone, how we all love our crusts to look. And I lay this on top of the bread like this, my felting needle, and then I'm just going to felt it down. Now the nice thing is when you put wool on top of a make, you can always take it off if you don't like it, or you add more color on top if you want to cover it up. So I'm just going to felt this brown on there. It doesn't look too bad for a crust, I will be honest. It doesn't have to be very even, just like a real crust can sometimes be lighter on some areas and darker on others. I'm not going to make the ends crusty, so this is a tin loaf. It was in a tin. You'd only see the top that has got nice and brown, and felt that into place. Now the loaf itself that I've needle felted is so solid, it's very hard to even squeeze it, but it needs to have that real firmness so that when I cut into it, which will be interesting because ideally you use, obviously you cut a loaf of bread with a knife, but I'm going to use some scissors. So yes, it's a lot smaller, and then I see how many slices I can cut out of it. I try and cut them quite small so I can get a nice sandwich, because I also need to make the layers of the sandwich. So we're going to have a ham sandwich with lettuce and tomato. So I think this is oven ready now. It's been cooked and ready to be turned into slices of bread. For this, I'm going to start with these ginormous big scissors. I cut it. Ooh, not bad. Get that off. 1, 2. That's a nice slice. That's obviously the crust. And not bad. I think this almost feels like bread when you squeeze it, like quite sort of soft and slightly squishy. I'm going to try one more, and now I'm going to put these scissors away. So this is what the bread looks like now. Slightly soft bottom, but the good thing is you can actually felt it down a little bit. So I'm going to just neaten the bread slices up a little bit so that they can take the fillings. And I haven't quite decided which one to take, but the thinner you can slice them, the better. The more you can fit inside. I'll probably stick with these two. My 2 sandwich slices are ready. Now I need to make the filling. So to make a slice of tomato, you can actually just use a little bit of red. What you want to do is when you do your sandwich, you just want the bits sticking out on the side. So it doesn't really matter what shapes they are. So as long as you can see them poking out on the side. So you could mix a little bit of a different color into there, but it's not really necessary. What I'm trying to do is just get a flat shape done so I can cut a couple of tomatoes out of it. I felt these flat into a flat sheet. So this is sort of traditionally what I would say a handmade piece of felt, because you're making it by hand, stubbing it by hand, the wool, and it turns into a fabric piece. You can also cut some corners by using a multi-tool that felts it down much quicker. And then all I want to do with this, I want to be able to cut out maybe 2 circles. My first tomato slice. 1. Oh, might have to have a half tomato slice out of this. There we go. Next up is my ham. This looks very like unhealthy, highly processed ham. So I'm going to tone it down a little bit and mix the wool to make it slightly less pink. And again, you can use a multi-tool to do this. However, I do want this to be a little bit bigger because the ham slice ideally is bigger than my sandwich. So just felt this down flat. I'm not even going to concentrate making it the shape it needs to be, because I can just cut the edges if need be. So the main thing is you keep lifting it off the mat, turning it over and getting as much of a solid piece of felt done as possible. And when it's nicely felted, then you take your scissors and you cut it. Now some ham comes round, some ham comes square, some ham has no shape whatsoever. This one looks like that. There's my ham. Next, lettuce, nice bit of green here. I'm going to mix it with another bit of green just to brighten up the color a little bit and make it look more realistic. This one I'm just going to make a salad leaf, stabbing it again flat on the mat. It's my multi-tool. Stab it down a little bit more. And I'm also going to cut this so that it doesn't look so fluffy. So I have now got my 2 slices of bread. I think in some of the sandwiches, like here, I even made a little slice of cheese. To do this, you would use yellow with the white and mix it. But I'm sticking to ham sandwich. Ham goes in here, tomatoes on top. So you want to make sure the tomatoes are poking out, and then the lettuce on top of all of that, so that you want that to poke out as well. Pop your lid on, i.e. the other half of the bread, and then felt it together. So I'm literally putting the 2 on top of each other. Now I'm also going to just neaten out my bread a little bit and felt into the edges, but I don't want to make the sandwich filler disappear. I'm just neatening it out, the edges a little bit. So that's all. So easy to make a sandwich once you've made the loaf. But there you are. Have a bite. Yum, yum. You can also make a little burger where you, instead of a bread loaf, you make a little round bun and then cut it in half. And you can fill your sandwiches with whatever you like. So that's the sandwich. So you can also make a Swiss roll. Love a Swiss roll. It's a slightly different way of making this. You take your main wool for that, and now you will make a longish piece of felt. You can use your multi-tool to speed things up. But again, the main thing is that you are lifting this off the mat regularly. And again, I'm not worried about the wispy wool sticking out because I'm going to cut all of this when I'm ready to roll it up. So first off, I'm making myself a nice solid base of sponge base. Felt this down. And then in a minute, I'm going to make the same, but with the pink. Now, the reason why I'm not putting the pink on top yet is because I don't want the 2 colors to melt. I want to have a really precise swirl there. So if you felt the pink straight onto this base, they sort of become one, and then you don't get that precise swirl. So I'm making the base first. And incidentally, that's exactly what you have to do when you make a gâteau. You want to make all the layers separately and then put them on top of each other by fastening them on, stabbing into them, but at least you haven't felted them originally by laying them on top of each other. So you're making separate shapes and then you layer them on, felt them together, but don't felt the color straight onto the color underneath. So that's the best bit of advice that I can give you. But for this one, I'm now cutting this into a Swiss roll width. And now I just need to make the same shape in the pink. So don't put it straight on, make a separate shape. Remember to lift it off regularly so you don't fasten it on. And once you've done that, nice and neat, you can felt this so much more solidly than what I'm doing now. But I'm doing this quite quickly just to give you an idea of how easy it is to do. So I'm going to apply this on top now. I've made the pink a little bit smaller than the other color underneath. Now I'm going to felt this together just so that they don't come apart. And do this on the other side as well. Then you got to roll it up. So you can actually start felting this together as you're rolling it so it doesn't pop open. So I'm just felting into the first turn. Felt that down as well, just so that it doesn't pop open. And then you can close it up here over the top. So this is why the white is slightly bigger than the pink inside, so that you end up with completely white outer. The first bit is never good, same as with sushi or with, I guess, with Swiss rolls. I'm going to use these amazing scissors again. Get your first bit cut off. This is the bit that everybody loves to eat quickly, except when it's made from wool. So these bits, they can just be discarded. and then try and slice it as thinly as you can into little Swiss roll slices, ready for your picnic as a nice sweet treat after your sandwich, which you've of course needle felted too. Here we go. That's the Swiss roll. If you're of a little bit of a more healthy inclination, then maybe if you're a little bit more health conscious, then maybe a strawberry might go down. And for this, all you need is a little bit of red wool. Now you can make them real size, or you can make them, well, they're also real size if you have wild strawberries, I suppose. So basically you can make them any size you like. And for this, you need a little bit of red wool, and you're winding this up again into a ball shape. A lot of shaping starts out as a sausage or ball shape, and just don't worry too much about that it needs to be a tapered shape. Just get a shape together and then secure it by felting into it so that it doesn't pop open. So at the moment, the shape is more evenly distributed. So now you can start working on the sculpting of your strawberry to make it more tapered. For this, if you stab into the front like that, but at an angle, when you stab towards your fingers, always aim for the felting mat. So try and keep your fingers out of the way because you don't want to get them caught up in it. So that way you can make a pointy end, but not flattening it entirely, just making it slightly tapered. So the needle goes in at an angle. Contrary to the opposite end, you are going to go straight in. So you're actually making that part thicker. And so that is how you can, just by stabbing the needle, you can sculpt your shape, but you can also add more wool in the correct places if you're not happy that this is quite a skinny strawberry. And so you can actually take a little bit of the wool off and just wrap it around the area where you want to build bulk. So say you want it to be a bigger, juicier strawberry, just wrap the wool around the back here and then felt it down. So you can see that the shape of the strawberry can either be achieved by just sculpting it with your needle, because wherever you stab your needle is where the reduction takes place, or you just add more wool to get the desired bulk where you want it, and then you can felt that down as well. So obviously you can repeat that process. If you want to make it bigger, then add more. If you want to shrink it, then felt it down more. And just always remember, wherever you stab the needle is where the reduction takes place. And it is not dissimilar from imagining that you could actually sculpt this with your fingers. So to make that fatter, you would actually do this, because you can see how that is becoming fatter. So that is where you need to stab the needle then. So all we need to do now is we need to give the strawberries the little green leaves, and we need to add some green spots onto it. So we're going to do just a few of those because they take a long time to make, probably 20 of them. But just to make a leaf, you can use your green wool. And again, you don't need to be very precise. If you are making just a flat piece of felt, you can actually cut the leaves out of it. So you can painstakingly make every individual leaf, or you just make a little flat sheet like this. Picking up wool from the previous project. I haven't cleaned my mat in between, but that's okay. We don't mind a little bit of extra in there. And then all you need to do is just cut the leaves out of it. Only needs maybe 3 or 4 leaves, and it doesn't matter if it's a little bit, doesn't have to be symmetrical, the leaves. Add this on top of your strawberry, just give it a little stab, fasten it in, and in no time you've got a couple of leaves there at the end of your strawberry. And then you can actually even make a little stalk by just using the wool and felting it. Can twist it between your fingers, felt it into a little stalk, and leave one end unfelted, so keep it quite wispy, because that helps to fasten the stalk in. This is quite miniature, so imagine what it's like when you have to do even a tinier one. Keep your fingers out of the way, and if in any doubt, get yourself some finger protectors. They look like this. You pop them on your fingers, on your thumb and on your index finger, and you can keep your fingers safe. You can also sometimes hold one shape down with another needle whilst you're stabbing with a second. There are lots of ways of how you can keep your fingers safe. Right, there's our little stalk on there. And I'll show you how to add a couple of spots. Strawberries often at the base where the little pointy part is, they're sort of still a little bit green. So you can just add a little dusting of wool there. And then you're going to have to make lots and lots of little spots. So for this, you take a tiny, tiny amount of wool, really tiny, twist it between your fingers into a little dot. Sometimes it works best to pop that on the end of your needle and then place it, hold it into place, and then stab it in, rather than having to try and place it with your fingers. Now, the principle of spots on a strawberry is that they're smaller at the bottom and they get bigger towards the top. But I'll just show you this one process again, and then you get the idea. So twist it between your fingers, pop it onto the end of your needle, place it on the strawberry, and just stab it in. And you can actually shrink this down by going deeper into the strawberry. And it doesn't matter so much that it changes the surface of the strawberry, because they often make sort of a slight indentation on the strawberry. Your strawberry is ready for your healthy choice of food. Hope you enjoy this, and of course make more picnic food to complete your whole range of food available. Have fun, that's the main bit. Thank you very much for watching, and please make sure you subscribe and like so that you get more needle felting and other crafty tutorials. Thank you.